Hey, live hopefully. Let's see. Cool. Got everything going. Got the chat up. We have 3 people. Honestly, more than I thought would be here in the first 6 minutes. So I may have to repeat some of this a couple times if more people trickle in. Don't know if that will happen. My Go by Zach just followed 3 minutes ago. Thanks, Zach. Thanks for following. Thanks for maybe stopping by. I don't know. Doesn't show me who's in the viewers. Yeah. So this is the first stream. I hope that the audio and the video looking good. I don't know how the compression is on stream, or the background noise or anything like that. Did a couple recorded test runs, so hopefully this is all sounding good. What up, Zach? See you in the chat. Cool. Video and audio are perfect. Thank you. Awesome. So this is interesting with the chat. I've always seen, I've watched a couple live streams, and it's interesting how the dynamic is now on the other side watching the chat. So good that those are both working. So we got 3 people here, and you'll be the first to kind of hear the plans for what this is. I would assume most people are coming from my Instagram, where I've kind of hinted at this a couple times, where I was like, where would you want to see me go live? And this mainly came about because people have constantly been asking me, I'll post an animation or something, and then I get a flood of DMs that are like, can you put a tutorial out? Can you do a breakdown? And I've done tutorials for 2 of the heavily requested animations that I've put out, and it's a lot of time to record the tutorial, and it was a big process of editing it down. And I decided that a lot more people are going live, so maybe that would be a better avenue, so that I could kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So maybe live streams would be, if there's a heavily requested animation, I can on that stream go to and break it down and kind of do a mini tutorial for it, and then re-upload that to YouTube if people don't catch it when it's live. And then the other one would be brand new content creation, personal projects, work with me kind of style things going on, and then those would be uploaded as well in case people don't catch them live, so that I'll have more YouTube content going on, but also be able to interact with people who have questions. And I feel like that's where the live really comes into play. So that's the main goal, and that's kind of what I originally had started with, and kind of tinkering around with the idea. Cool, we got emotes. What is this? I can't even tell. Is that a king? Or is it a person? No idea what that is, but thank you for chatting and interacting. This is so cool. Yeah, so the idea for August will be mostly just streams on Saturdays for about an hour, just to get my bearings and kind of see how I'm feeling about everything. The content that will be streamed can be anywhere. Person eating popcorn, so not a king at all, but fully immersed. Thank you. That's fun. Yeah, I've never really gotten into emotes or anything, or emojis in the chat, but cool that works. That's fun. So yeah, I have this little Streamlabs on my dual monitor. That's what I'm looking down at to kind of see the chat and everything, getting my bearings. I've made a couple scenes for different use cases and everything, and that's kind of what this week has been making a bunch of different little customized things here and there for the stream. But August will be every Saturday at 1 p.m. So just like today, and it can be anywhere from we learn something together. Anything in the chat can kind of be brought up. I don't know how interesting that would be to kind of watch a tutorial together. I haven't seen many people do that. Obviously, the biggest benchmark and most well-known kind of motion graphics streamer would be Chris, Rocket Lasso. So if you haven't, definitely go follow him. He's also on Twitch. He does amazing, super long, in-depth Cinema 4D brain melting streams where he kind of just takes chat suggestions and breaks down and shows you how to do anything. And that's the original reason I didn't want to stream, was because I am not anywhere near that proficient or at that level of Cinema 4D or any of the programs I use. I feel like when I'm working in them, it's, the software is open, I'm doing the stuff, and like every 20 minutes I'm pulling up a YouTube video. So I will try my best, to answer questions that people have. I'm learning, we're all learning, so I may not have all of the answers, but I'll try to point you in the right direction when I can. That's one of the things that we can go over. The other one would be, I have a lot of personal projects I work on after work hours, and so I thought that this would be a great, I'm already here working in front of my computer, might as well pop up a live stream, kind of interact with chat and different stuff. Cool. We got for Houdini, we got John Kunz is the Twitch Wizard. Ooh, that's a good one to look up. I haven't seen that guy, but looking forward to seeing your workflow and your amazing art that you make. I can't read, have low reading comprehension. Thanks. That means a lot. Yeah, there's been a couple people that have wanted to see kind of my workflows, how I kind of build things, because a breakdown is great, but it's also really polished and really not exactly the thought process is always in there. So I thought that streaming stuff, to maybe my own detriment a couple times when I can't figure things out or I do things horribly wrong, especially when it comes to Houdini, which I'm still learning, a little bit more confident in cinema and definitely a lot more confident in After Effects. So that would be good, working on personal projects just with stream, chat open, people ask any questions. Personal projects are easier because I obviously can't show client projects or other projects that I'm on that are under wraps, so that's something that I can stream that hopefully will be interesting. And the other things are like, breakdowns of projects I've done in the past, so that's definitely something I can pull on a lot, is because there have been a lot of DMs coming my way that are talking about, hey, can you break down this thing? And I've been wanting to, and I have a Google Doc full of it, but I just haven't been able to really decide to buckle down and make tutorials because they're so daunting and kind of static. But I felt like live was definitely the place to do that. And then something else I'm going to move into, and surprisingly was the most quick moving part. Hey, thank you for the follow a few seconds ago. It popped on the screen. That's fun. That's interesting. The chat's really tiny on stream, so let's see if I can get that way bigger. I wonder if this will update live. Let's get that right there. Cool. That would be a lot easier to tell. It's interesting, my monitor's down here, and it looks like I'm looking at the chat in the window here. That's totally intentional, and I'm a really pro streamer. But yeah, industry chats with different artists, and definitely not limited to 3D artists. Definitely that will be the most of the people on, because that's the most connections that I have. But yeah, a couple days ago I just kind of sent out a blast to a lot of people, just asking them if they'd be willing to join a stream for an hour and just do a loose interview, project breakdown, anything kind of. And they were, almost everyone said yes. So that will definitely be something that I do. That's going to start in September moving forward. The schedule is going to shift. It's going to be Tuesday, Thursday at 9 p.m. just because I freelance and I work during the day, and then still Saturdays at 1 p.m. is when those interviews would be. And I can say definitely that the first person that will be interviewed is my good friend. Went to college with him. We've been roommates for a long time. Is Aaron Covret, which I'm sure if you're here, you probably know that name. He's a wizard in texturing, photorealism, Octane, Cinema 4D, substance designer, painter. I'm absolutely certain that you've seen him or heard of him or liked one of his posts at some point. So he is a good friend, and we will be doing a loose interview. It's funny that a lot of times we have stuff to share back and forth, and we'll do sort of, a Zoom call screen share where we learn from each other, and I've always felt like that would be something good to put live with other people to benefit from, instead of just tucked away in our little hidden silo of knowledge between each other. So that's something I'm really excited about. It can be anywhere from just, a catch-up that happens to be live and with a little bit of questions from chat, also to a full, someone released a project and we get them to break down and kind of go through their cinema files or their Houdini files if they're comfortable with it, or just like a total, you'll see my mug and there'll be audio, because some people don't really like being on camera, which I totally get. I definitely am not a fan of being on camera, but I think that it's something that I should get used to more. And speaking of getting used to being on camera more, next Wednesday, I believe, Wednesday on the 12th of next week, let's check, that is a Wednesday, good, at 10:30 Pacific time, I will be doing a presentation for the 3D Motion Tour, which is for Maxon. So the people who make Cinema 4D, I'm going to be breaking down my workflow using Quixel Bridge, Megascans, and Mixer in my Cinema 4D kind of pipeline that I've fleshed out a little bit. So definitely keep that on your radar. Check it out. There will be a Q&A after. It's a pre-recorded video, but there will be a Q&A afterwards to ask questions, and I'll have the files open that we can dig through if anyone's interested in that. Hey Isaac, who is this? This is so many usernames are very specific and definitely not just people's names, and so sorry if I don't initially catch on. I'll go back through this later and figure out who's who and who's coming from, probably Instagram and stuff like that. But what's up? Thank you for being here. We have 7 viewers, which honestly, a lot more than I thought. I don't know. I didn't think this would have many people, and this would kind of just be a test run, and then I would upload it to YouTube, and people could check it out and get all the information from it that they wanted. Hari Krishna. Thank you. That makes it so much easier. The usernames are always a tricky thing. I got this fun little mic arm that I have to keep moving around. I'm not used to it yet, but it helps the audio quality be way better than it was, and I'll actually be getting a new microphone I just ordered, an Audio-Technica mic soon, so if anything, hopefully the audio will get better, but I hope that it's definitely decent. Hey, what's going on? This is Droik CG. Hello. Nice to have you here. This is fun. This is interesting. So that's my plans for the stream moving forward. I definitely am going to stick to at least Saturdays after September, but if Tuesday, Thursday is a little bit overwhelming, because I definitely, everyone knows us working in this industry as a freelancer or anybody, that late nights come and you're sometimes burnt out, and I definitely get burnt out a lot, so we'll see how this all goes and if I'll keep up the Tuesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. ones. But you teach in Twitch? Yes, I will. I will definitely try to, at least in some form. I am not a master teacher, but I will definitely be sharing some of my projects if people request. I've had a lot of animations on Instagram where people DM me asking for tutorials, so no worries that you came late. I figured that people will be trickling in, and I'll just I don't have much to do for this one, so I'll just kind of keep reiterating. If anyone has any questions, just throw them up in the chat and I will try to answer everybody's questions. So I'll try to break down projects that I've done, or I thought another interesting thing would be if anyone has anything they want to kind of have me go over, be it like general, how did you do this, or how did this person do this. Those ones I will try my best, but no promises, because I'm also learning, so I may not know all of the answers or all of the breakdowns. Cinema would probably be a little bit easier for me, but Houdini, I can throw my best idea out there, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I will definitely try. And then if you want me to kind of watch a tutorial and react to it, or explain kind of any part of it that maybe you weren't understanding, or if I have tutorials that I kind of want to go over live and apply them to a project, I'd definitely be down for that. But hopefully this is a way to share knowledge. I think that's a big part of our community when a lot of us teach ourselves from places like YouTube and free stuff on Vimeo, and now Twitch is definitely a big thing in the industry. And so definitely when you get to a spot where you are confident sharing knowledge back with people, giving back is always a rewarding thing, but always I think the right thing to do when you're at a stage where you can. And I do think some people do it a little early and they share a little bit of misinformation and are not as helpful, but that's kind of why I've been tentatively poking around with this idea for the past year or so. And that's why last year I had on my YouTube channel, which is linked somewhere around this profile. You can go there, and I have a couple tutorials that I did. One was I would normally do a long form, hour-long version, and then a really cut-down version, so people could have the choice of if they wanted to go super in-depth or just kind of get the bare bones. So those are up on YouTube. You can kind of see what learning from me would be like, but it would definitely be a little bit different in the live space. So Houdini would be tough to teach. I think so. Yeah, Houdini would be tough to teach because I'm learning it still. I'm still watching courses and stuff. If you are interested in a course, not free, but a great course that is, if you're a cinema artist going into trying to learn Houdini, the guys over at mograph.com and my friend that I've talked with a bit, Mark, put out this really great course geared for cinema artists going to learn Houdini called Stop Being Afraid of Houdini. And it's a really, I bought it and I'm currently going through it, and he really does take his time, and it's really aimed at people coming from cinema. Not being paid to say this. I bought it with my own hard-earned money. But yeah, that's definitely, if you need to find Houdini tutorials, that would be the place to start, because that will give you a really great base versus just kind of picking through Vimeo or YouTube tutorials that will give you pieces. But if you need to go that route as well, I'm sure you know, but Intagma, they are great guys. They put out great content for free, but they also have their Patreon for even more in-depth stuff. Those would be the places to start. They know way more than me, and they would be really great resources. But if there's anything that I could try during a stream or something, I definitely will. But yeah, just be prepared to be let down, I guess, is the moral of the story for that one. And then, going on with the plan for the stream, I would say after September, I may start poking around with seeing, the engagement and who's here, who's not here, poking around with putting up a Patreon. I know first stream, dude's talking about a Patreon. That's a bit harsh. But no, it would be to reward people who are coming here first. I would definitely have a system for the first 100 followers on Twitch would get in Patreon with the code for free. They would get all the perks, because I really want to reward anyone that's like upfront helping out here. So everyone in the chat here, everyone that's following, thank you so much. I didn't think this many people would be here, and it's super fun that there's people to engage with and I'm not just talking right to my camera. So yeah, first 100 Twitch followers will get into that Patreon for free, for life, forever. Just as a big thank you to everyone that goes and follows. And hey, thank you for the follow. And then, so the perks of that would be up on my website. I have a freebies page where you can download project files that are personal projects I've put up. But then for the stream, after each stream, if you were a tier in the Patreon, I don't know how many I would do, probably just a couple. There would be, a tier where you can just get the project files. They may be stripped from, copyrighted things I can't share, so Megascans assets, those sorts of things. I'll have to figure out a way to work around that and kind of make some proxy stuff to put in there, but hopefully that will be interesting enough that I can share those. And then different tiers would then kind of have more voting power in what happens on stream. So I kind of have like, once we get past September of streaming, the Saturdays would be interviews or like community decides. So if there is no interview that day, the community kind of people would get to vote and pick what sort of stream there is. So, we want to learn something from you from cinema, or this specific project breakdown, or go over this effect from this thing. And then I would try to prep that week to have a good stream to kind of present what I've figured out for that. And that's kind of the way that I'm thinking of modeling that after September. So there'll be August, which will have every Saturday 1 p.m. streams of just mixed bag stuff, just testing things out, trying to get used to the whole workflow. And then September, the month of September, would have 3 streams a week, so Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m., and then a Saturday interview at 1 p.m., and that would go all of September. And then that would be the cutoff for the first 100. May go up in 100, may just do it, everyone that follows before September gets to be into the Patreon, and then the Patreon would start in October. So that's pretty much everything that I had to go over and wanted to kind of get out there. So if there's any questions, definitely shoot those. I mean, they don't have to be about the stream, just any general questions. I don't do Instagram Ask Me Anythings enough, but dope schedule. Thank you. That's with an explosion. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm tinkering around with. I think that it's the most I can do with the least amount of burnout, if that makes sense, because I definitely have other things to be working on, other not personal projects, but side projects with other people that take up a lot of my evenings, as well as just freelance client projects. So that's kind of what's going to be priority. And then I've always wanted to try this out, and so streaming, things that I know, things that I'm good at, would definitely start at this kind of 3D MoGraph world. But I mean, a couple of me and my friends always are like playing games, so maybe if that's something that people would be interested in, we'd just do a quick like hop on with a 3D artist, and 2 3D artists play Warzone or whatnot. Probably not Warzone because I'm really bad at Warzone, but play some sort of casual game, so it doesn't always have to be super industry. Hey, we got Olaf, I would assume. I don't know who else could steal that username. What's up? Cool to see you in the chat. But yeah, so it's really open. I'm definitely going to be starting in the space that I know the most, but definitely am not too worried about sticking to it too much. It's kind of, I just want to provide first, give back to the community, give back in knowledge that I can, and then secondly, entertainment, because these are crazy times and people are more than ever needing to find escapism, and that's definitely something I am open to. Haha, yeah, it is you. Sweet. Thanks for stopping by, dude. You don't mind plug-in links in chat just to help everyone. I don't know what a plug-in links in chat is. I'm so new to this. What would that be? What would you can have an idea. Most efficient workflow I have followed so far. So I'm going to click this link. Oh, cool. Yeah. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I took a bit to get this stream figured out. It was, I had kind of had bits and pieces of it, but not set up for stream. So like getting an arm and everything was a big adjustment for me. I had the DSLR already, but figuring out the whole kit and caboodle with the capture card, that was something that was interesting. So, even stuff like that, I would definitely be down to go over. I don't know how I could do that while streaming. Maybe a bit harder, but I mean, things that I had to set up that are definitely in the wheelhouse of motion design, of like making, GIFs in After Effects for the stream to play, and then, backgrounds for the stream, is stuff that I think is a not as highly sought after market for people, at least in the field that I am in, and it's definitely interesting to me, so I would definitely do that. Twitch, as many trolls that a lot of streamers don't allow links because it's weird stuff, but 3D channels like this one, I think it's helpful. Until you reach 100k followers, then that would be hard with mods. Yeah, so if I ever reach 100,000 followers, we will have bigger fish to fry than a couple trolls posting links. But okay, yeah, I definitely understand that. I've still been looking through a lot of the settings in, ban words and different things like that. I don't think a 3D person like myself will really have too many pog champs in the chat, but definitely see where you're coming from. I'm looking into Blackmagic deck link or something to stream from my Pocket 4K. Yeah, I didn't do too much research. I'm actually kind of have buyer's remorse on the one I got. It was the 4K one with 2 HDMI slots, which is great for just my camera going in, but if I want to at some point stream from like an Xbox and camera, I'm out of ports, which sucks. So there is a different one that has 4 HDMI ports, and I would definitely have bought that one. It's the one that plugs directly into the PCI slots of the computer, so that's the one that I went with. It was like $200 on Amazon, and so if I want to add another device, it's going to be some finagling, or I might go with an Elgato, just external kind of one, and see how well that goes, but we'll see. That's definitely down the road. Gotta go though. Glad to see you. Thanks so much for stopping by, Olaf. Means a lot. Cool. So that's everything that I wanted to go over. I can maybe show off some of the stuff that I've been working on for just stream things. So this is just the background GIF that I made. Just a nice little thing in After Effects really quick. And then I got offline, not really, but then we got the stream coming soon, which was at the start, which I'll probably do a lot of just as people kind of trickle in after I send out the first one. Got it right back, and then here's my desktop. This will probably be a lot of it. Then we got our little view counter and all that. Then we have this, which is like probably the main. This is what it's going to be, is me down here, and then going over some software stuff like that. Then back to, this will just be probably what I start the intros with. It's just a cam like this. This right now is, you're seeing the chat log from Streamlabs, but this is kind of the format that I'll have for interviews and stuff like that, and then, interviews with the screen. And so this was a small little achievement for me to figure out yesterday while I was going through Streamlabs OBS. I'd used OBS as like just a screen recorder, but I never delved into the kind of scene setups or anything like that. So that's kind of the style that I'm going with right now. We will see if that continues or if anything. Ah, cool. We got the little thing up here. Thanks for the follow, dude. Yeah, so everyone that follows in the next 2 months will automatically be in the Patreon. I think that that's a good reward, other than, just following to follow's sake. It feels weird to say that, but following to kind of be grandfathered into something that will be like a couple bucks a month later down the line, if I can build up enough content for it to be worth that. Definitely if it's more casual than I'm planning to grow it into, not really gonna go with the Patreon, just because I don't see the point in, I make a living doing this, so I don't see a point in asking for a couple bucks here and there for something that I'm doing in my free time. It seems odd. But if it starts to really grow into something like I'm hoping it can, then yeah, the Patreon will be there. This is my backdrop. These are all the art books. It's actually, this is my shared office with my wife, and behind this one is a sewing machine, so that may not always be there as a backdrop. I just have this because I was doing that Maxon presentation. This will probably return to her sewing room, so it will not always be this cool. But we got, Force Awakens art book. These are kind of my pride and joys that I have in the office. I think that they're so amazing to quickly pull inspiration from, and I think there's a lot of lost art in those that, for their purposes wasn't what they wanted to go with. But I mean, just digging through like things like the Star Wars and looking at all the concepts for like Kylo Ren's mask is an amazing resource because it's done by these high senior level people that, like, it's obviously not bad work, it just wasn't what they chose, but there's definitely nuggets in there that you can pull and bring into your own. So that's definitely something that I'm going to do more of. And then we have the Halo 5 art book, and then the Rogue One art book, and then this is Blade Runner. And those are all the ones that I have currently. I've looked through them all many times. I scan them in just to have on my computer digitally too. But I love going through those books and pulling out different references, and that kind of goes into a personal project that I will be hopefully developing over the rest of this year, so you can see the progress on it. I normally do personal projects really hidden away, and I don't release anything really until I can know that it's going to be coming out and I'm going to be posting it. But for this one, I'm going to try to do it more on stream so you guys can see the development of it. I posted it on my Instagram a couple days ago, the first bits of what I was doing. Hey, thanks for the follow. Danilo Tomasini. That is butchered so horribly, but thank you for the follow. Hopefully I didn't totally offend you with how bad I read that, very phonetically. But yeah, I'm going to be sharing my workflow, and that will kind of be the default if there is no real consensus on what people want to watch. It's just going to be a watch me work, answer chat, answer questions, hangout sort of deal. Sort of similar to Learn Squared used to have these great YouTube live events where they would have a couple people on, and they would just some people would be drawing, and then other people would just be kind of hanging out and answering chat questions. And I thought that was really great because a lot of us do that already, so might as well stream it and hang out with people, especially during times like this where there's not a lot of hanging out going on anyways. So the project, which I haven't told many other people about that I will be going over, is because everyone's got to do it at some point, the Star Wars project that takes there was a TV show called Star Wars Rebels that covered kind of times that are missed in between the first 3 episodes and the next 3 episodes, and it kind of covers that window of stuff that's going on, like with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan and all those people and different other side characters that aren't in the main films. And the cool thing that is in there, I haven't watched the whole series, but I saw it as a little clip, was it covers Darth Maul and Obi-Wan's final fight. And it was a really cool fight, the way that they tied it into the fight that they had previously when they first faced off between, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul. And, obviously spoilers, but Qui-Gon dies through a fatal move, and it gets used again in their final fight, but obviously Darth Maul dies in this one. And so, hey, thank you for the follow. CC Boone Enick. That's going to be the bane of my existence, is reading follows. And I think that would be Justin Jaro. Thanks for the follow, dude. VLT Media. He just released a game, so definitely I will share that somehow. I don't really have a link to that right now. Maybe he can post a link in the chat. But go download his game on PC. It's a Pokemon game, and you should all play it, as 700,000 other people have done so far this week. Definitely go play that game. It's sick. He made it by himself. He is insanely talented, and you should go follow him. But yo, VLT Media, yep, that's it. Sweet. yeah, definitely go follow that. Go download it. I have yet to download it, but it's on my list. But it's insane. He built it himself. He did the assets. He's been working on it like crazy, and it deserves all the love it can get. So yeah, the Obi-Wan Darth Maul fight it's in the style. It's a cartoon, so it's in a cartoony style, and I was like, this would be amazing. And I've always wanted to get more into character animation, so I'm going to be recreating that whole thing in, hopefully as close as I can, a very film, production, realistic style. I hadn't seen anybody else do it. Maybe they had, but I thought it would be a really fun thing, kind of working on something where I don't really have to think of the story or the shots really or the animation. It's purely just kind of a technical execution and rendering, lighting, texturing, making custom assets, stuff like that. But I thought that would be a super fun thing to go over on stream, because it's kind of, whatever I want to do on it. There's no real deadline, but it's something that I can pick apart at any time. So we got, since viewers always wonder what kind of machines can make 3D art, they like to see the PC specs under the about or something like that. You're like a Twitch, legend, knowing all these things that I am so new to. Okay, yeah, I can definitely put that up. My machine is always getting upgraded with different stuff, but I will put that up in the about under the, word jumble of I am a 3D artist from New York. Really quick overview is I have I can pull it up and stop looking at my face. So we're going to go to this one. I'm going to go up here and then go to my sheets. Actually going to make sure that I'm not accidentally exposing confidential things on a stream. Let's go to PC. I have a ongoing kind of build of my PC and what it costs. So this is my PC currently. This is what I had started at, and then these are sort of the upgrades that I put into it. So I have not two 1080 Ti's. I have one 1080 Ti and one 1080. And then that's, what people care about a lot through rendering. A lot of solid state stuff. I also have, because of a horrible case where this guy died, my hard drive just killed itself, and I luckily was able to back it up, but now I have a 13 terabyte NAS that I connect to, and that's what all my assets and stuff are, and I archive projects, and daily backups of my entire machine are sent to there. So that's a big part that's not on here. That's part of my workflow. But this is, an i7. It's okay. It definitely is a lot better than a lot of things, but I'm always itching to have more threads and more cores, and would love to see, if I ever do another build, what an AMD CPU can compare. Very nice. Thank you. Is that Bob Ross? There's so many different little tiny things that I find very funny about Twitch. So yeah, I upgraded to a 1 terabyte solid state drive that I put both of my boot drive on, and then I have another drive that I split it, and then I put my games and some creative software that takes up a lot of space on another partition of that. I don't have this guy anymore. That was replaced by the NAS. I'm sitting at like 1,000 watt power supply. It hasn't had any issues yet, but I kind of went a little bit overboard. I'm sure that's overkill for just 2 GPUs, but if I ever wanted to expand, you could get a Ryzen 9. Is that the best AMD one? Maybe. Yeah, I definitely still have to look into it. I'm also debating just having like somebody else just totally build my machine. There's definitely places here in New York, which is where I'm from, that have like pre-build machines that are built for like Houdini simulations and stuff like that, and you pay a little bit more just for them to figure it all out, but the hassle of building a PC and not having it under anybody else's warranty is a huge pain, especially when you rely on it every day. So I may be doing that and putting this PC retired as a render slave or something. RAM, I recently upgraded. I got 64 gigabytes of RAM now, which still is not enough for Houdini stuff. It just will, I will always forever be fighting RAM. And then cooling, it's air cooled. I just have a ton of fans shoved in there. Corsair fans other than this one, and then Windows, and that's everything that I have from my PC build. And then down here is everything I've used on any project pretty much. So I mean, standard Adobe After Effects stuff. I've tinkered a little bit actually with Olaf, who was in stream a little bit ago. Trying to get more into Nuke just because it's an industry standard, and I'm super proficient in After Effects, but it's just not standard if you go somewhere to do work on like feature films. Rhizome, dude, Nuke takes a bit. No, really, it does. It's there's a really cool guy on YouTube who does he's called Hugo's Desk, and he has this actual course or a couple videos where he puts up After Effects and Nuke side by side, and he kind of does the same project, and it really was helpful for me to see like, oh, I know where this is in After Effects, he's going to do it in Nuke, and then I can kind of make the connections there. I can definitely see the upside to Nuke, just the fact that it's, by default you're working 32, it's a node-based system, so you can, instance and reference things and get a lot of looks really fast. It's just such a thing. I definitely have to do it, and maybe that's going to be a part of this personal project of the Obi-Wan Darth Maul fight. I'll do it and comp it all in Nuke, and we can struggle through that together on stream and make a lot of mistakes. Houdini really eats every component of a PC. Gotta get 2080 Ti's for render. Gotta get 64 cores CPU. Gotta get 120. Yeah, that's like my next build. Is I'm hopefully gonna get a dual CPU with the most amount of cores, and then 4 2080 Ti's in there, and then just sell my soul to be able to pay for that. But yeah, it does. Every time I'm like, I'll see an improvement, and then I double my RAM and I still hit RAM limits. I definitely don't hit where like hard crashes anymore on RAM limits, but it still takes a bit. It's not instant on anything that I do, but they're always making improvements. That's the other great thing about Houdini is like between a 0.5 launch they'll like totally rewrite like their pyro solver, and it will be amazing and like 10 times faster. So I really appreciate them on that, where I feel like I get stagnant in a lot of other programs where they just don't upgrade After Effects, how anything works, and it just is a big pain, and you can have the best PC and it will still not be able to do a square moving from this side to this side in real time. Yeah, and you can share, reuse the node trees. Yeah, definitely, and you can kind of pack up scripts, which I've got a bit into After Effects scripting and expressions, but yeah, no, definitely it seems great that you can kind of essentially build your own effects, save them to a little library, and then just pull them down, and this is like the glow I like, and like this is my standard for like chromatic aberration and stuff like that is super useful. Another thing I can pull up is I have this, which will probably be a perk for what am I saying? A perk for the Patreon when that goes. Oh, and if anyone's new, I think we've went down in viewers, but maybe if there's new viewers, the first 2 months of streaming will be just normal streaming, and anyone who follows inside of that 2 months will be grandfathered in for free into the Patreon. So that's kind of the incentive to follow now, is that you will be getting all the Patreon perks for free if you can verify just your Twitch username with like an email, and email me from that and ask for the Patreon free code, and then I'll send that to you. And that's kind of the thank you to you guys for being here early. We got Tom Paul 3D What you making for us today, big man? Today is actually coming to a close in the next 10 minutes, just doing an hour stream. But today was an intro of kind of going over the schedule. I'll wrap that back up and kind of go back over everything at the end of kind of what the streams will be like moving forward. Yeah, it's just I didn't want to jump headfirst into things. Kind of wanted to see what the turnout would be, see the people, see the chat, see how all my stuff I was hoping would works, and then go over stream schedule for the rest of the year, and then kind of go through just any questions people had. But next stream we'll definitely try to have a little bit more of a normal schedule. Okay, cool. We got about PC, maybe two specific question. How much do you charge for your PC services fees and usage into billings as a freelancer? Only work usage for studios. Right now I'm packing about 3,000 to 3,500 euro per year, and I think it's a little low. Some freelancers are going for 50 euro equipment fee a day. Oh, I guess I'm a bad freelancer. I'm really not good at freelancing. I really like it. I'm just not good at being a freelancer. I just kind of have that one point someone told me what a good rate was, and then they said every 6 months go $50 up if you can. And I've just done that for forever, for the past 2 years that I've been freelancing. So, yeah, total transparency. I think this is something people need to talk about more, is that my day rate when I started freelancing, which was back in 2018, 17, so I was a year out of college, was $350, and that was here in New York. I was freelancing. I was working on Imaginary Forces, and I was a junior motion designer, and it was $350, and then I took a studio staff gig at an ad agency, which was $80K salary, and I was like, this is amazing. I'm making all the money in the world, even though here in New York it's the most expensive place you can live. And then I left that place in 2019 July, so almost a year ago, to go freelance again. And when I went freelance again, my day rate was $450, so I just upped it by $100 because I assumed that the time passed working on the agency was worth $250s up. And then after that, I worked at Imaginary Forces again for the rest of 2019. And now I'm at Perception, and I'm at $650 just because of time passing again and reevaluating kind of the skills that I had added, like Houdini and other things to the table. And that's kind of where I've been at. I haven't really broken down. I don't do direct-to-client freelance work a lot where I have to think of budgets or anything. I just purely go day rate because in New York, that's the easiest way to work with different studios that bring me on. So yeah, I work remotely right now. The studio is at Perception. I was in house there with them just because they are in New York and I'm in New York, and then obviously pandemic hit and we are now working from home for the foreseeable future. Amen, VLC. Yeah, it's just, you are also Justin here in New York as a freelancer, and you can attest to the fact that it's just easier to do a day rate, especially for me. I don't have to think about it. And then you kind of I do it when a booking ends, as long as it's not been going for forever. That's when I reevaluate my day rate, and so it can jump normally in $50 increments, thinking of things that you learned on your last job, what you can bring to the table now, and then obviously what the studio is able to agree upon. Yo, Zach, do you figure an 8-hour day or 10-hour day? That depends on what I agree with to the studio. It goes back and forth. Right now I'm working a 10-hour day, but not really. It's an average 10, but sometimes, it's an 8, sometimes it's a 10. Worst case is a 12, but yeah, I kind of base it around that. The part where I really kind of actually go after getting payment is weekends. Overtime is just, I feel like, kind of standard, and maybe I'm too much of a pushover freelancer, but sometimes you work late, sometimes you go off early. That's just how it is. And then I feel like the real distinction is when you eat into my truly off time of a weekend. That's when I charge you double. and that's kind of just been what I've done. And most places are totally cool with it. They normally, at least every studio I've worked with, the producers have been amazing, and they're very, very nice about it, and they're accommodating. And if you just send a nice, like, hey, I'm working a weekend, I know we didn't maybe talk about it, but 1.5 to 2 is normally what I charge, and they're normally very accommodating because they also feel bad, or they're also working that weekend, and they feel your pain. So that's kind of the approach. Let's make the chat bigger in this one as well. I gotta resave these settings. Yeah, put the chat. Maybe put the chat up here. It's so weird that I can do that live. Proceduralism, kind of, not really. So yeah, that's roughly the freelance breakdown that I'm doing right now. I don't really charge into the fact that I have a PC because I know I could, but the fact of the matter is, if I wasn't doing this as a job for work, I would have built this PC for myself. So I don't think that they need to pay for it. Really nice. Thanks so much, man. Really looking forward to the streams. Thanks, dude. Thank you so much. This was awesome that so many people were able to actually come out and there wasn't like a dead chat. That was my biggest fear, is that I would do this and there would just be no one here and I'd just have to talk into the void. But having people to talk to is definitely so much easier. So as long as we can hang around this 5 to 10 viewers, I feel like that's enough that I can definitely keep up with the chat, and then also work next time. Oh, I was gonna pull up this thing that will be part of the Patreon. Like I said, first 2 months of followers on Twitch will get into Patreon for free as kind of an incentive. But this is something I've been building, and is very detailed. I've seen other people do it a couple times, but it's kind of geared towards what I'm interested in. And this is the software Bible, is what I call it. But this is categorized by, you can see, so this is Houdini starts, and then there's also these color-coded things for different effects. It's not anything special. It's just a detailed catalog of useful tutorials or inspo or digital assets that people have posted that I've been able to pull into here and categorize and kind of give a little blurb about what it's about, or inspiration, or profiles that I like to follow. Same for cinema, ZBrush, a lot of courses that I found and kind of vetted that I will want to go over. This is the Hugo's Desk guy. So I'm going to copy this. Maybe not. Yes, copy. I'm going to put that in the chat. This guy's amazing. If you're looking at going into Nuke, he does a course where he pulls up Nuke and After Effects side by side, does a project, and executes the same in both. And you can really, if you're comfortable in After Effects, really quickly understand what you need to be searching and how to do things the same inside of Nuke. Super, super useful. And then, stuff from them, and then that's another thing I'll be covering. I'm not great at it, but Unreal is something I really want to get into, so that will be, watch me learn, watch me struggle through doing some stuff in Unreal. Will definitely be on the course, some Moi 3D, which is fun. Definitely be doing some sculpting, not great at that either, but it's always fun to kind of, just tinker around in a sculpt. Definitely for the Obi-Wan Darth Maul short, I will be sculpting, custom characters for that, so that will be something that we can do. Substance designer courses, different things. I try as much as I can to have a lot of it be YouTube because I'm not made of money, so I try to find most of this stuff for free. There is a lot to sift through, but then, a couple here and there with the dollar amounts of like little courses to do. So let me catch up. Would be great to get advice from you on how to break into freelancing. Arrow Effects. Thanks. Yeah, I think that my decision to go freelance was partially because I was uncreative. I wasn't creatively satisfied. I'm just going to switch back to the little pocket boy. Yo, what's up? Thanks for the follow. Going to go back to this screen. My decision was to go because I wasn't as creatively satisfied at the place I was at, and I felt like I was doing more fun things personally than I was at work, and I knew that I could probably get freelance gigs doing things closer to that. So, I mean, that wasn't anything on the studio I was at. It was just that they were an ad agency, and I wanted to work in feature films, and they didn't cross much. And I knew other people that were working feature films that I felt I had assessed I was at the same level at, and wanted to try it out. And the other thing I think is a big deal, a lot of people just jump into freelancing, and definitely this is different for every person, so take this with a grain of salt. But my reason was every month I would get 5 to 6 emails asking for freelance availability, because I had at one point said that I was a freelancer right when I left college to go into the workforce. And so people kind of had put that out because I said I had freelanced in college, just, doing little things here and there back in Michigan. So people had reached out. It was like 6 times like a month for a bit now, and I was always saying, sorry, no, I'm staffed right now, but I'll let you know if I ever go freelance. And that was kind of the like turning point where I was like, there is demand, so I should take people up on this before the demand. They just write me off as like he's staffed forever. So that's why I chose to go freelance, and I think that that's like a good point for other people to also go freelance, is do it when people are asking you to. If people aren't, you're just going to have to work pretty hard, and this is what I had to do when I was right out of college, was, just a lot of cold call or cold email, really, of just, hey, here's my, make a great site, have a great reel, constantly be posting on, social media of updates to your work, because you get discovered a lot through that way, and then send all of that in a nicely worded email, specifically not a blast email, but a worded email for those different studios. I mean, it can be kind of a template, but change it and base it on why you want to work with that studio. And I, sent out hundreds and hundreds, initially just to get my internship when I was in college, and I got, I heard back from maybe 4 out of the couple hundred I sent out, and one of them was Imaginary Forces. And so then that summer went out to New York and worked for them, did the best that I could, stayed late every day. I know people say, don't overwork yourself, but I was getting paid small, but I was getting paid. I thought it was great. It was working in a real workforce, a real workflow, which I was super excited about, and getting paid money to use cinema, which was mind-blowing at the time. Before that, it was just a hobby. And then, who is this? Miss Maddie May. That's my wife. I was like, who's saying I'm cute? Yeah, thank you. She's in the other room being a supportive wife. So, yeah, I freelanced with them, or I internshiped with them, went back to college, and they had said, hey, when you're done with college, would you like to come back and freelance? And I said, yes. And then my roommate, who I was with, who went off to work at Google, also said, hey, man, I have a position open over here in San Francisco. If you want to go, work here out of college. I was like, that would be amazing and great on my resume. So absolutely. And the team was really great that I went and worked out with there at Google. I was on the YouTube team, working on an even smaller thing inside of that, and just had a blast. It was great working at a huge tech company like that out in San Francisco. Only downside was I was in San Francisco. My at that point girlfriend, who was now my wife, was in New York, and so that was a little bit of a strain, and I didn't like that as much. So after my contract was up with YouTube, I moved out here to New York, and that's when I hit up Imaginary Forces again. I was like, hey, I'm here and I'm available for freelance, and that was when I was at my $350 day rate, and I started freelancing with them. And I did that until I took my ad agency, and I talked about kind of the path after that. So it's different for everyone, which is an annoying answer to a very specific question. But I would say wait for demand. If there is no demand, create demand. And by that, I just mean make great work that gets shared around, and people want to know who made that, and that will definitely get you work. So think of it as an investment. You could, do everydays, which I know a lot of people look down on and say is just for Instagram clout and whatnot. I found they were great for learning, but also for building a huge portfolio of stuff that people go, and to this day, they'll scroll through my Instagram at agencies, at clients, will be like, we like this thing and this thing and this thing, and they'll piecemeal a weird mood board out of things I had already made, which is great because I already know I can execute on them, and then it makes it so much easier. So I would definitely, if you're looking at trying to get better at a program or build your portfolio, do every days or do every week's something. Post a lot on Instagram, which is weird to come from the guy who is now like finding it hard to get like 20 posts a year up. It's just I feel like I'm in a learning phase or a bigger project phase, but that's my advice. If there's demand, definitely do it if you feel comfortable, and if other people in your life feel comfortable. That was a big discussion I had with my wife, or at that time my fiance, about wanting to go freelance, and she supported it, and we were financially in a spot where I had 3 months savings and I could do it, because the net 45, net 30, net 60 is a real thing, and it's very annoying when you are working and not getting paid for that first bit, and it's annoying that you may have a great sweet gig but you just don't have money coming in yet and you're just kind of burning cash. So definitely put up, I would say 3 months minimum of money that you can pay yourself from, and that would be all the freelance advice that I would give right now, because obviously there's so many other more educated people like the Future, Chris Dew, those guys. As much as people are like, they're just kind of a little bit of a funny thing to watch, and they're a little bit over exaggerated. They really know what they're doing, and definitely go check them out and look at their advice. I'm behind on chat, so let's see. Okay. Thanks for answering. It was much more than I expected. Yeah, I rambled way longer than I should have. What is this emoji? It's tongue out, kind of quirky face. Really great info. Thanks a lot. Yeah, for sure, man. I don't know if I totally answered your question, but just kind of rambled for a bit. What was your skill level like when you were first applying? So my skill level, when I was applying to be an intern, it was okay. I would say that I was comfortable in After Effects, and I was excited and slowly comprehending Cinema 4D. So kind of my learning scope or timeline, if we start, which side would be the beginning? If we start here, so before college, before anything, working in high school, I would make logos in PowerPoint, and then I graduated after I found out that Adobe Illustrator was what I should be using and is the industry standard. And with Illustrator, I begged for my 16th birthday to get the Creative Suite from my parents as a birthday present, and they were really supportive of that, and they've always been supportive of my art, which I think is very helpful in where I am right now. But so I got the Creative Suite, and I started making illustrations and logos in Illustrator, and then from Illustrator I learned shapes, Pathfinder tools, different stuff like that, fonts, all that, outlining, strokes, masking, pen tools, all of that stuff, which really helped me jump into After Effects when I had kind of figured out that stuff was super cool, and I wanted to do that because I had sort of always seen it, people kind of tagging it or YouTube videos talking about it, and I always wanted to try it out. And so I got into After Effects through, I think what everyone did was Andrew Kramer, Video Copilot, was like the place to go, and he was so top tier for, at that time, what was just a mess of horribly put together YouTube videos everywhere else on the internet. But he really had a great site back when sites were kind of better than YouTube at kind of content curation. So for all of high school leading up into college, I like those 2 years I was messing around in After Effects, and then because I was almost exclusively learning from Andrew Kramer and Video Copilot, I was introduced to Element 3D, which was mind-blowing to me at the time, is that I could do 3D inside of After Effects, and I loved it. I made so many animations with Element 3D, and I was always chasing photorealism, or at that time I didn't even know what I was chasing. I just wanted it to look better and better and more integrated. And sorry, there was is your Holy Grail list you just showed us available? Yes, that will be available I will post that up on my website in stream links. I'll show it right now. We can go there. I'll get back to what I was saying in a second. So I have freebies up here, which will always be up here for anyone, which are different project files of different things that you can download and use whatever way you want. But I've added this live stream on my website, taracks.com, where you can, right now it's just my reel as a placeholder, but maybe that's the best first thing that I can upload would be a link to this private shared software Bible that you guys can get, and then that would be for the first 2 months of doing streams, and then after that would be behind the Patreon, but first 2 months of followers will get into Patreon for free, just as like a thank you to you guys. So definitely, yeah, that after the stream, you can check back on my site, and it will be up there with a little download, which will actually just be a link over to the privately shared Google Doc. Oh, I'm not even sharing my desktop. Here we go. So yeah, it's on my, so this is the freebies on my website, and this is the streams, and it will be here, and you can kind of have a little link to it right there. Yeah, still getting used to having to switch things around. I'm talking and pointing my cursor, and hey, you guys can't see it. No worries. Yeah, definitely. I would assume people are coming in and out, and I'll just repeat stuff when people ask because I'll ramble forever. So yeah, After Effects Element 3D. I was chasing more photorealistic 3D renders, and I didn't know what I was really going after, but I would assume it would be akin to like Element 3D doesn't have great GI, or like the interactive shadows or light bounces, and that's something that I was always missing. And so I'd gotten into college based off like a reel made, or like a portfolio made entirely of like After Effects and Element 3D things. Got into art college in Michigan, Grand Rapids area, Kendall College of Art and Design. I went there, and there I kind of was introduced to more traditional 3D through my roommates, who were also motion designers and graphic designers, and that's where I kind of found Grayscale Gorilla. So I feel like I took this very traditional approach of online learning, where I learned After Effects from Andrew Kramer, I learned Cinema 4D from Grayscale Gorilla, and this was like OG Grayscale Gorilla, where it was just like videos posted in a row on this website from this guy called Nick, who was very, very excited about shiny spheres. And yeah, that was kind of my introduction into Cinema 4D and more traditional 3D programs. And so that was around 2013 is when I started dabbling in that. And then it kind of just took off into like a forever growing rabbit hole of different things to learn. And so in college, kind of, I was in this like physical renderer, Cinema 4D kind of phase, and then Octane was this thing I stumbled upon where I was like, oh my gosh, this looks like real. Like, I don't know why it looks real, but like before that, the only thing was like trying to find cracked versions of V-Ray and not understanding at all why it was so complicated. But then I found Octane, and I was like working on my little tiny dinky laptop Mac, and it was crashing every second because of the CUDA issues that, you know, Beta 1 had. And so from there it was kind of launched into like, I would say the more recent stuff of like, you know, you go Octane to Arnold to Redshift, and that's like a typical flow. And you know, you graduate from Cinema, you don't graduate, but you go Cinema to Houdini to Substance Painter to, you know, all this different stuff. And it kind of like, I feel like once you're at Cinema as the base, it like explodes into understanding of so many other things. And then now like my new list of things to acquire is like Unreal, really get into Substance Designer and Substance Painter, which I'm like a bit more familiar with. And next on my big list is like Character Creator 3 and iClone 7, which are these great animation tools for characters and character building, as well as like Marvelous Designer and ZBrush. So those are kind of the new ones on my list that hopefully on stream we're going to be going over a bit. You are a natural though. Vibing with the crowd while making your point is never easy, especially on Twitch. Props to you. Thanks, dude. I feel like I'm I'm struggling with the chat rating because I kind of have to like move past my mic, but hopefully the audio isn't too terrible. I could technically actually lean with it and move the mic, so that might be better. Quixel Mixer, man. Yeah, Quixel Mixer, dude. That is not coincidentally, it's going to be in my talk next week for Maxon. I go like super in depth of my workflow with that, but I would advise anyone, if you don't want to mess or you haven't done Substance or Quixel and you're like not sure, go with Quixel. It's free. Mixer is free. Download Mixer and download free assets from Bridge, and you'll love it. It's so well optimized and made for real time that it just feels super smooth for all of us that are used to not real time. Is kind of the best part of it, is that they're getting money pumped in from Epic and Unreal, and it's really, really showing through. They have tons of content up on their YouTube channel explaining every little bit of their software, and it's only getting better, and it's like hyper accelerated. The same way I would assume Blender people feel about how great Blender is going, this is how I feel like this is the Blender to Substance, even though I think there's value in both. You know, one's photo scanned, one's totally generated the way you want. So I would say, you know, if you're really going to go pro, you got to know both. But if you're just looking to make super, super cool, fast textures, go Mixer. Go Bridge and Mixer and Megascans, and you will never look back. Definitely answered my question. I appreciate it. Thanks. Cool. Awesome. Thank you for interacting with the chat. That's been super helpful. And yeah, thanks for everyone that's followed today. You guys are all going to get grandfathered in, save some money. And with that money, you can go buy tons of other way more important things and plugins and softwares. So I haven't shouted out a couple people. So thanks, Little Pocket Boy. I think I said that for the follow. We got Droik CG. Thank you for that follow. My wife, thank you for the follow. You're grandfathered into the thing that you would get for free anyways. And then we got Salik Easy. Thank you for the follow. You guys are all awesome and making this super fun. Woo! Yeah. What is this face? PogChamp. No, there is a PogChamp. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen on a more, 3D non-gamer, but I feel official now. We got a PogChamp in the chat, and that I don't even know the real origin of what PogChamp is. Then we got this other stuff. There's so many different little things, and the text on my not huge monitor is like so tiny that it looks just like little tiny gibberish. That's why I seem like an elder citizen trying to read these chats, is because the chat is also like very small. I should make the like UI for this Streamlabs way bigger so I can not have to squint every time I try to read the chat. But yeah, so everyone that followed today's, getting grandfathered in. It's not a for sure thing that there will be a Patreon, but I just think if it grows beyond 100 followers, which is a ways down the road, but then everyone for the first 2 months will be grandfathered in just as a thank you, because I think that, people don't typically think they're following enough that really builds them up. And I've found a really weird trend where people will hit that like 100K Instagram kind of mark and then do this really weird like unfollow everyone. A lot of people I've known, 3D artists specifically, will like not follow anyone anymore and just be like, well, it's my art account and it's my brand. I don't need to follow people back. And it's really weird, and I don't understand it at all. And I think it's kind of disrespectful to people that really, if you're growing on Instagram, your brand and everything, then you should definitely thank those people and give back to those people who are, if you're like me, getting opportunities from that and making your living off of, exposure that way. I think you should really think about those people in that kind of light. But, to each their own. Not here to throw any shade. But, yeah, that's kind of my reasoning behind Patreon, is that not to punish people, but to just kind of have urgency behind the following. And then if anyone else stumbles upon it after kind of the base has been built, those people will just, chip in a little bit to help keep and maintain the streams and stuff like that. But maybe it will only ever reach like 30 followers, and there will be no Patreon, and everything will be free for the world. But that's kind of the ideas. Hey, thank you for the follow. Let's see if I can get this. That can't be English. Pure Kayu Purko. I'm sure that that's not English. Is that a different language? Or I'm just like horribly... There's no spacing, and so all of the letters just jumble together. I have no idea on how to pronounce that. But thank you for the follow. Yeah, I feel like I'm just trying to tell everyone repeatedly at the end here now that, hey, thanks for, I am JXU. That sounds very familiar. I'm pretty sure it's Spanish. Oh, okay. I don't know Spanish, but thank you for the follow, and thank you for not being totally offended that I can't say the usernames properly. I feel like that is also someone that came from Instagram. That username sounds very familiar. I'm sure I'll feel dumb after I get off stream and know that that is someone that I talk to constantly. One of the things that I can talk about also, as we kind of wind down here, I'm probably going to wrap at 2:30, so next 10 minutes, is the interviews. So I think it's really cool that I was able to but DM tons of people that I've, like electronically met, never really in person, or, people in my industry that I've worked with before, and almost everyone said yes to some form of an interview at some point after September. So I can kind of pull up here so I can see the list, a couple names that maybe you guys would know and be excited about as some sort of promise that there will be interesting content on this stream other than just my face. Here we go. So right now, it's totally available to change. Right now we have 38 people that are going to be interviewed, which, if that happens every Saturday, means interviews out until May 29th of 2021, which is a little daunting to me already, that I didn't expect as many people to say, yes, the same day that I texted them, but almost everybody did. So that was a lot. So some of these people that you will know, so there's Jaro, there's VLT Media, in the chat right now, who released his game, going to be on the stream in the interview, probably one of the first ones, just because we've talked a lot and it will be super easy to do that versus some of the other people that I've never directly talked face-to-face with. So that will be fun. Maybe we can go over some of all the work that goes into making a game like he did. Some of the other people are like Olaf or Bloomers. We got a emote, or not? These aren't emote. These are emojis, right? Seems good. Yeah. So that will be good. We have Olaf, some other people on here, like Cornelius Damrich. I think that's how you say his last name. Huge 3D artist. One of my biggest inspirations when I was starting out, and even to this day, of just photorealism in a way that so many people can't touch. In the same vein of that, Rafael Raul is going to be on at some point. No real dates for any of these people. They've just been yes, we will do this. So that's why I'm throwing their names out here for some clout. But no, it'll be super fun to see kind of how that grows. I don't want it to be too stiff or too project focused. I want them to be able to do kind of whatever they want to do, or just chat and have kind of a super loose podcast-esque thing, but with video over kind of Zoom is how it's going to be. And, it will be hopefully something that everyone will get something out of, because these are people that I would love to watch more interviews with, and they luckily said yes. So, David, technically we can say Octane Jesus is what he's known for, David Aryu. Lots of other people on here. So one of my friends, a freelancer out here, Hogan Williams, super good Houdini Cinema 4D guy. Sakani Solomon, other guy I've worked with at Imaginary Forces. We're going to do one. So let's see, Marius Becker, another amazing 3D artist in that I feel like I fit, I don't know if I'm in their tier yet, but that's the crowd that I normally fit in with stylistically. I really like all the stuff they put out, this more photorealism kind of take on stuff. really love everything that they've done. So Tokyo Megaplex, also known as Chris Rutledge, he will be on. Amazing Houdini guy. Totally love all this crazy stuff he comes up with, and he's super knowledgeable in that area. He'll be on at some point. Let's see, who's these other people we got? Matt Brown, who's a guy and I worked with at that ad agency, who's a great like photorealistic Octane renderer. Super knowledgeable and super fun to work with. And so a lot of these people may not be actual people that you guys know of or even really well known for some of them in the industry, but they're just people that I've met or connected with through my freelancing or ad agency time, and I think that they have, value that they could share. And so maybe not every single one of them is going to be like a master Houdini Cinema 4D person, but I think that they would all have something that I'm interested in, and I assume that you guys are interested in as well. So, lots of people like that. Ryan Summers is another huge name out there that will be super interesting to see what he does. And then, I even have some of my college friends that I'm going to be calling on that like do graphic design or UX design, stuff like that. And then some of my YouTube Google buddies that I worked with, and they can kind of maybe shed some light on the workflow there. Chris is like amazing. So that will be super fun. He's like, we've hung out a couple times. We both are here in New York. Super fun guy, super sweet dude, and very knowledgeable in all of the stuff that he does, but in a not overwhelming way, in like a very approachable. I hit him up a lot where I'm just like, I'm not doing this right in Houdini. Can you help me? And he's like, for sure. Yeah, you're just missing these couple things that are very basic, but yeah. So that's, Mind of Impact, another guy. And then we got Skiva. So those are some more like big Instagram, Twitter dudes that we've never actually met, but will be super fun to digitally meet. So that's some of the names. Definitely more will be floating in or floating out. Hoodass actually was one of the recent ones today. So people that like I've always followed since being in like college, and I more and more just slightly interact with on Instagram and stuff like that. And I threw it out there, and almost everyone said yes. So we will see how that goes. But yeah. So we're almost at 2:30. Probably gonna wrap it up here. So just gonna go back over the stuff I announced at the beginning, unless anyone else has any more questions. So stream schedule will be for all of August, 1 p.m. on Saturdays. It will be a mixed bag of, nothing more like this. They will all be some form of like, something like this, with a screen up and like cinema up or something like that, working on something. But then after August, September, we'll start the 3 times a week schedule. It will be Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. and then Saturday still at 1 p.m. So that's just kind of because, I'm freelancing during the day, so I have to bump that out to the evening. Hopefully that's not like too late or eating into anyone's time. And then Saturday 1 p.m. because that's I'll have those open more. That's after September starts. That's when the interviews hopefully will start, and you can check back in maybe just on Saturdays if that's like what you're into, or just know that there will be those 2 other streams probably of like me working, me teaching, mixed of those things, and then that's the schedule till the end of the year. And so through August and September, so that you can kind of see the build up of the 3 times a week stream, August and September, everyone that follows the Twitch account through that time will get into the Patreon that will start in October for free. Will be kind of grandfathered in with all the perks that all of the tiers have. So that's kind of the incentive, is that even if you don't like it or you don't come back, maybe just follow, and then if you want to redeem it and the stream gets really good, years down the line, you just be like, hey, I was one of the first couple of people to follow you in the first 2 months, can I have the Patreon for free? And you will. forever, for life. And even if I stop doing these and start them back up, you will definitely always be grandfathered in, because I think it's good to give back to the people that help start this and help build the community. And thank you again for everyone that chimed in. I did not expect to have like an active chat. I thought it would be a little bit more, a couple people here and there. Dope. Thank you. Yeah, I hope that this is helpful, not helpful, but provides something for people. Have a great day. Yeah, thank you so much for providing all of the Twitch knowledge that I definitely did not know and still need to brush up on a bit. But thank you so much for actively being in the chat. It's super fun to be able to talk to people, even if it's just text to me spouting off stuff off my face. But yeah, thank you so much. We'll be back here again on Saturday, next Saturday, and we will see what happens. I'll probably put a poll up on my Instagram, so go follow me there. I would assume you already have, but probably around Wednesday I'll put up a poll to see what people are feeling for that upcoming stream, and then whoever votes on that will be able to, I'll just go with whatever the most liked thing is. If you have any questions between then, just DM me on Instagram. I'm super responsive. Or if you have ideas for other streams that I didn't put a poll out for, just hit me up there, and I'll definitely be able to respond to that. I think that's everything. I think that is everything. Got a heart. Thank you. Cool. So I'm just gonna stop the stream. Thank you again for everyone who came out and interacted with the chat. And I'll see you next Saturday.